there's another threat to your health that may not give much thought: the food on your plate. The Center for Disease and Control Prevention estimates that foodborne illnesses affects up to 48 million Americans a year and puts 128,000 in the hospital. And some advocates are saying the government needs to do more to prevent those problems, as Cronkite News reporter Alyssa Klink tells us from our Washington bureau. Alyssa?
When 210 cases of E. coli in 36 states were traced back to romaine lettuce from Yuma last spring, it made headlines. Far from being headline news, however, food recalls are becoming commonplace, according to U.S. PIRG, the Public Interest Research Group.
Overall, recalls have increased by 10% between 2013 and 2018.
What hasn't changed are food safety laws, which Garber says were last changed in 2011. Food safety is serious business. Just ask Brian Dimmick. He was just a kid in 1995 when he drank tainted apple juice, spending 18 days in the hospital.
I mean, the doctors told my parents to say goodbye because they're not going to make it through the night.
Garber says it's largely up to farmers to safeguard our food. The suspect in that Yuma lettuce outbreak, water used on the crops. There is currently no explicit Food and Drug Administration rule regarding irrigation water.
The produce safety rule requires that farmers sell produce that's safe for consumers. You know, how they meet that requirement is really up to them, and we offer guidance documents and, set certain limits for things, and if there is no limit, we do look to industry to make sure that they are protecting consumers.
Farmers say they're doing their part. 97% of Arizona farmers growing leafy greens follow safety standards set in the Leafy Greens Marketing Agreement, says Teresa Lopez.
We're recently put together a romaine task force, and so we're looking at, again, ag water standards, looking at ways to kind of help FDA to write that ag water rule in some ways.
Still, Lopez says controlling everything that touches crops in the field is not easy.
So I think that it's, there's not really a whole lot of blame necessarily. I mean, this product is grown outside, it's not grown, in a bubble.
Garber says voluntary regulations are good, but federal law is needed.
FDA needs to implement rules around irrigation and spraying of crops to set those public health standards.
While it's not certain that tainted water led to the E. coli outbreak traced back to 23 Yuma farms, the FDA is working with farmers on new irrigation standards.
There is a task force that we're participating in. We're reviewing. We've called for industry to review their practices.
Lopez says those changes won't come anytime soon.
We don't expect to see anything from FDA for at least another 2 to 4 years, potentially, on ag water standards.
Dimmick, now 28, still suffers from short-term memory loss. He just hopes that people begin to take E. coli poisoning seriously.
I just don't think these companies realize what they're doing unless it happens to them.
But fruits and vegetables are not the biggest culprits in the rise of food recalls. Garber said that recalls of meat and poultry jumped 67% in the last 5 years. In Washington, Alyssa Klink, Cronkite News.